Then on Sports Central, we go for a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 3 matchup between the Colorado State Rams and the Colorado Buffaloes. Big rivalry matchup coming up here in Week 3. Got Colorado State. This is a team that will definitely be an underdog in this matchup, taking on a red-hot Colorado team that is one of the most hyped up teams, probably the most hyped up team in the country right now. This is a team that's 2-0 to start the season. Obviously, Dion completely turning this team around. This was a 1-11 football team last year, and now they're ranked in the top 20 in Week 3 and already 2-0 on the season. Quite a start it's been for Colorado. They can keep it going against the Rams here in Week 3, but will they? That's what we'll be talking about here today. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. Colorado State lost to Washington State back in Week 1, 24-50. This team did not play in Week 2, so obviously coming off of that brutal loss to the Cougars, which, as it turns out, Washington State could be another solid Pac-12 team. The Pac-12 has been incredible the past couple of seasons, and the way it appears right now, this is going to be probably your second best conference in college football this season. You've got 8 teams in the Pac-12 that are really solid football teams, and the Cougars could easily be one of them. But either way, Colorado on the other side beat Nebraska last week, 36-14, dominant win for them, and obviously the win over TCU in Week 1, which really caught a lot of attention, that's for sure, as it should have. Beating a TCU team that was just in the national championship last year. So Colorado ranked 18th in the country. They're 2-0 to start out the season. Colorado State on the other side, just 0-1. Games will be on Saturday in Boulder, and your kickoff is going to be 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So we got a nighttime kickoff for this rivalry matchup. Spread's going with Colorado here by 23.5. So I mean, it's really not too surprising, though. You consider the Buffs the past couple of games, the way this team has really emerged, especially offensively. This is a really strong offensive team. That's going to be tough to stop for a lot of teams in the Pac-12. Obviously, the Pac-12 is filled with incredible offenses, though. I mean, where the SEC is always filled with incredible defenses, the Pac-12 this season is the best conference in the country when it comes to offense. I would say far and away. I mean, Colorado is definitely one of those teams where, I mean, Shedeur Sanders, the way he's come around, this receiving core as well. I mean, this is a really talented football team, and it's pretty amazing what Colorado has done, and we'll get into more about it. But series history, Colorado leads at 67-22. They've won the last 5 and 8 out of the last 10. Stat comparison, Colorado State obviously haven't just played one game this season. They were pretty good in the passing game, but as far as it goes for rushing, not so good. 129th in the country so far in rush yards a game. Pass defense 132nd, but rush defense not too bad. But for Colorado on the other side, and by the way, for Colorado State, if this team has got a bad pass defense this season, it's not going to go too well in this matchup, because Colorado is currently second in the country, just behind Washington in pass yards a game. Shedeur Sanders already 900 yards on the season for passing and 6 touchdowns. No picks, by the way. So, I mean, Sanders is for real. He's really played well so far this season, and this receiving core is obviously helping him. And for the defense, this team is 74th in the Buffs in points allowed, 124th in rush defense, though. They have allowed a lot of rush yards this season against Nebraska, and then, of course, against TCU. So, yeah, that is something to keep in mind as well. Key points for this one, Colorado State 0-1 so far. Rams, they show some potential offensively. We really haven't seen too much out of this team, though, yet. I mean, last season, this was not a very good team, but this team is more experienced, though, in 2023 versus where they were last season. So I do think this will be an improved team. I don't know if they're going to be a big contender in the Mountain West, but still, I do think this is a team that could be halfway decent offensively. But the defense, though, allowing 50 points to Washington State in Week 1, definitely not promising. So defense could definitely be a looming issue. I am definitely worried about that, and especially, I mean, with this team taking on a Colorado team that offensively could be one of the best teams in the country, that's definitely going to be something that the Rams are going to have to be really strong defensively in this matchup, and going to need a nice, consistent game. Scoring early is going to be crucial as well for the Rams. And I mean, for Colorado, this is a team that started pretty slow against Nebraska. I mean, the first half was not terribly impressive. It was very low scoring at first, but in the second half, Buffs found a way, and they used the turnovers that Nebraska had, and they ended up winning at 36-14. So, for the Buffs, they're emerging. They're a true dark horse contender if I've ever seen one. This is a team that was 1-11 last year, and it's truly insane. You consider, this offseason, most of the talk was that Colorado was going to be awful this season, maybe only get 2 or 3 wins. And, it was reasonable to assume that, but, the way this Colorado team has played so far, it's already, those talks are very distant from right now. And as of right now, the Buffs are very much talked about as a Pac-12 contender. So, Shedeur Sanders, this offense is for real. They got the home field advantage again. And big test down the road. This is a matchup that really no secret. Colorado should definitely win it. If the Rams win this matchup, that would be one of the all-time shockers for sure that we've seen in a while, considering where Colorado's been the past couple of weeks. But down the road from now, I will say this. You got Oregon next week on the road, then USC at home after that. Both games huge matchups against top teams in the Pac-12 and very much college football playoff contenders. So obviously you don't want to overlook this one. You want to make sure you get it done in this one. But after this, we're really going to learn a lot about who this Colorado team is when they take on Oregon in Eugene, and then obviously USC at home after that. So that's obviously what's down the road for the Buffs. But with that, let's get to the prediction though for this matchup, Colorado State and Colorado, coming up here in week 3. And in the end, I'm going with the Buffs. 45-17 is my predicted final score. That's no shocker. I'm taking the Buffs here. It's just a matter of whether or not they cover the spread, and I do think they do. I think Colorado's offense is going to be rolling in this matchup. The Rams, worst defense that Colorado's played so far this season, and offensively they've gotten it done against Nebraska and TCU, 2 teams with expected to have halfway decent defenses this season. So Colorado gets it done 45-17. I'm also taking the over for this one, and the Buffs to win it in the end. But with that, appreciate you guys all watching as always. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. Are the Buffs for real? Can this team be a true Pac-12 contender, maybe even national contender? Is that a possibility? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you guys all watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.